I struggled with mental health big time. On today's Daily Dose, I'm going to share how I beat depression. It's the 7th year anniversary of the release of my book, Worth the Fight, Acting for a Better World, A Guide to Spirituality, Psychedelic Medicines, and Overcoming Trauma. This will be the first of a series of posts around mental health, around the insights that I've gleaned in the last 7 years. This is week 5 or the beginning of week 6 of my 100-day challenge. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the love and support, for the encouragement, for the likes, for the comments, for the shares. It's been a major challenge, but a beautiful challenge, and it's helped me to, this YouTube initiative has served, and podcast initiative, recommitting to my podcast, has served as a forcing function that has elevated my creativity. I'm feeling really, really good here in Miami, and I'm going to do my very best to paint a picture of capital P possibility of how we can overcome depression. Let's go back a little bit to my struggles. In my 20s, I drank a lot. It's what we did in Chicago. I was drinking 30 to 40 drinks per week. And that was typically 5 to 10 on a Friday night, 5 to 10 on a Saturday night. We'd have a Sunday fun day, and then you sprinkle in a happy hour once or twice per week. So you could easily get up to that number. And I was really, really hard on my body. I was doing this in community. This is just what you did. And we were having lots of fun and eating lots of, I used to joke about how it wasn't really about the alcohol. It was about how being drunk would make the food taste so good. The late night burritos and the pizzas. And, the empty calories would of course wouldn't satiate, and I would be all over that late night food or Mexican food or whatever it might be. And yeah, but I was struggling. I was in self-abuse. There was a lot of self-betrayal. I was in pain, but I didn't know that there was a way out. I knew that I had a problem with alcohol. I knew that I was depressed. The very nature of kind of that warning around if you're drinking more than 3 or 4 drinks per day, that alcohol is a depressant, and that you're depressed. And I look back, what was I depressing? What was I numbing? And it's pretty clear that it was the childhood trauma that was at the root of my addiction, my drinking, my depression. The childhood sexual trauma from the early years of childhood development that, I thought that I had compartmentalized. I thought that I'd pushed that off. I thought that wasn't that big of a deal. I can outrun this. I can outwit this. And I was fooling myself. And so I lived this depressed life. I was 45 pounds heavier than what I am right now. It's close to 240 pounds. I'm 195 pounds right now. I feel so good. 46 years old, in the best shape of my life here in Miami, Florida. And I've done so much healing work and so much processing of the past hurts. But in reflecting upon, my struggles, again, lots of drinking in my 20s and 30s. In my 30s, maybe it was 20 to 30 drinks per week. And I pulled back a little bit, and I was starting to read a little bit more. I was starting to do therapy. I was starting to realize that there was a way out of this kind of personal hell of the mind that I was stuck in. And it was crazy of me, or it felt crazy of me, to believe that there was a different way, because this is all that I had known. And I was getting so much validation from my family and my friends and from society, because on the outside, it looked like I was living the American dream. But inside, I was sick, and I was stuck, and I was in pain. And again, I didn't know that there was a way out. And, when I reflect upon how everything went down, yes, incredible ayahuasca journey, late 2014, early 2015, that catalyzed this journey of self-discovery, this healing journey that ultimately led to me leaving my loveless corporate career and walking away from Bullshit Incorporated. on December 9th, 2015. I haven't looked back. It's a little over 10 years of being on this side of the fence, and I haven't looked back. I haven't regretted this decision one day. And it was the ayahuasca journey that again set in motion this healing. And it was a visionary experience where I could see the path ahead. I could see, not like Nostradamus, but in like a predictable, a probabilistic manner. I think that's the best way to say it. That if I do this and this action, this will likely happen. And, so I got to work. I had my marching orders, so to speak, after my ayahuasca experience down in Costa Rica. Again, this was the last week of 2014, early 2015. I didn't tell my family. I skipped family Christmas, and I went for it. Months earlier, I found out that there was something stronger than psilocybin. I was like, dude, I'm on the next freaking plane. When can I go? And I had a week before things were going to get so busy. I just sold a business on my 35th birthday, October 16th, 2014. And I had this freedom immediately upon selling the business and signing on the dotted line. I was already on this path of service that I'm on right now. I was already asking the question, how can I pay forward the grace of plant medicine healing? How can I help others that are stuck in self-abuse or stuck in their past traumas? How can I create awareness around this, knowing that 1 in 6 men, 1 in 4 women are subjected to childhood sexual trauma in the early years of childhood development. So this happened immediately. That night, again, when I was supposed to be out celebrating, all I could think about was this path. And I wrote about all of this in my book, Worth the Fight here. So again, I encourage you to pick up a copy at worththefightbook.org. But I believe it was the psilocybin journeys in 2015 that I did, these solo journeys that actually healed my depression. When I came back from the ayahuasca journey in Costa Rica, I was doing the meditation every day, and that certainly contributed to that, because that's what I do every day. And I'm not doing psychedelics on a frequent basis now. Yes, I microdose from time to time, but I'm not doing the high dose. It's been since summer of 2024 since I had my last high dose experience, and I'm just feeling so good with my breathing practice and with my meditation practice and my journaling and my fitness. And yes, I do microdosing from time to time. I really enjoy that, and that helps me understand that so I can better serve my clients. But again, I think it was the probably 6 to 8 psilocybin journeys that I did at my home at 1212 West Roscoe Street, where I would turn my phone on airplane mode. Set and setting is really important for the high dose. And I would make sure that there was no social pressure or, again, phones on airplane mode. People know that I'm not reachable, or there's no plans set up. I did have one time before my travel journey where I made the mistake of answering the phone while I was on psilocybin. And maybe I'll do a separate video about that one of these days. And that wasn't a good experience, and I got really in my head, and that was a problematic experience. And a little bit of a digression here. The 6 to 8 psilocybin journeys, probably a gram or 2. So these weren't big journeys. So these were like medium dose journeys, possibly a little bit more. And then I would have a little bit of cannabis, some Michigan homegrown cannabis. I always affectionately say I would take 2 hits of some Michigan homegrown with 1 to 2 grams of psilocybin, and it would put me in a deep meditative state. And I was doing these long, slow breathing and calming my nervous system down and healing. I was healing in real time, and I was journaling voraciously. I was just, going journal after journal of unburdening myself from all of the heaviness that I'd been carrying for my entire life. There was lots of insights around what gripped me so tightly. I remember having a profound meditation while on psilocybin, where I was just realizing how much I identify with my finances. And at that point in my life, I was that six-figure number in my bank account. That was my value. And then I was thinking, I am not a number. I am a beautiful being of light, a radiant spirit, an eternal soul. And I know that we're getting a little woo-woo here, but I'm in a psilocybin journey and just feeling the deepest depths of the human experience, and these access to emotions and access to maybe a part of my heart or part of my soul that I previously didn't have access to. This was coming online, and I was like, again, stuck in this negative loop around the dollar amount in my bank account. And I was thinking, I felt so much insecurity and so much scarcity and so much pain and fear, when the reality is I had enough money to go live in the Far East as a king for 100 years and then some. But there was, again, so much insecurity and scarcity and pain and fear of poverty. And it was like, where is this coming from? Where did this come from? And it was so malaligned, out of alignment with the truth of my being, that, again, it started this journey of self-discovery, or it helped to deepen this journey of self-discovery. And, as I was continuing this process of working towards my freedom, because I'd had that ayahuasca journey and I had clarity that I was, and the conviction that I was going to leave my job in the 6 months afterwards. Ended up being 11 months later when I walked away from corporate America. And things always take a little bit longer. We have these visions and creative insights, but the reality is that there was a lot of money at stake. I had just sold a business, so I wanted to leave on good terms. So I would get that buyout. So I'd get that money that would ultimately fund much of my travels. And so I was doing this deep inner work, clearing back all these layers of pain and trauma, and just a lot of healing and a lot of grieving. I think grieving of who I was, and to create space for who I was becoming. And that's a really, really powerful notion, because that journey doesn't stop. We're always letting go of our identity to create space for new aligned blessings to come forth. And that's really kind of summarizing the growth path. And it can be scary when we're stepping into the unknown. It takes courage, and it requires a balanced nervous system, and it requires strong social support and encouragement and love, and daily discipline, showing up and doing the practices. And so again, the psilocybin was so powerful for, I think, the rewiring. Johns Hopkins has a lot of data and study around psilocybin for depression, and I think if I remember correctly, their protocol was 2.5 to 3 grams of mushrooms, dried mushrooms, or it's the synthesized mushroom, which actually measured out to 25 milligrams of synthesized psilocybin, or psilocin. And that's what they're doing with the Johns Hopkins clinical trials. And they have 2 of these deep dives where people are doing this therapeutic dose with a compassionate therapist. And the numbers are staggering of people that are overcoming depression from that. Definitely beats the SSRIs. And I believe that psilocybin is going to revolutionize our broken mental health care system, our sick care system, our corrupt system that is valuing profit over people. And there's so many of these legacy systems and that these pharmaceutical companies that no longer serve our collective evolution. It's debated and debatable whether they ever served our collective evolution. And I believe that these medicines will overhaul in time. These, in reflecting upon the journey that I've had here, that things take time, systems take time, and I would have thought that for sure that MDMA assisted psychotherapy would have been a legal approved cure for post-traumatic stress disorder by now. It's 2026. I wrote in 2019, I wrote that we were targeting 2021 for the approval of MDMA assisted psychotherapy as the gold standard cure for post-traumatic stress disorder, and it still hasn't happened. So big systems take a long time to change. Dr. Hardy's words, "The system is designed to defend the system," come to mind. And, so we're playing the long game here. But psilocybin, yes, that was the big experience. And I remember just feeling so sharp and dialed into the flow state. And a lot of my colleagues were complimenting me and saying, "Matt, what are you doing? What have you done?" Like, I shifted a lot in 2015, and I was showing up differently. I was meditating in the morning. I think I got up an hour and 36 minutes before sunrise every school day, almost every school day or work day in 2015. I knew that I was going to leave on this travel journey, and I was scared. I was scared that if I didn't do this correctly, that I would potentially jeopardize and put myself into really tough position. Again, those scarcity programs, and I just wanted to be prepared. I knew that I was going to be outside the pale, and I wasn't going to be protected by society. I was going against society, and who knows, maybe all of the fears that everybody was projecting onto me were real. So I'm going to all these foreign lands, and I had to be careful. So I was, again, very, very disciplined, still very disciplined. I've kind of recommitted to a level of discipline, not quite that intense. Again, an hour and 36 minutes before sunrise. I don't know where I read that, the hour of Brahma or something, where I was getting up. It's really a sacred time of the day. And that was, again, a big part of my identity and a big part of my experience and my shift. And that helped me lock in the integration practices that made all of this a reality. So was it the psilocybin? Was it the meditation, the yoga, the journaling? Was it, I wasn't doing breath work back then in 2015, but, the combination of probably all of those, but I think the psilocybin was the big catalyst that helped me see clearly where I was missing the mark and where I could make the adjustments. And, just again, connecting to my breath, connecting to the spirit of peace, and, having these awareness practices where I could see clearly, again, through my own eyes, where I was missing the mark and how I can make adjustments. And we're in a time right now, again, a mental health crisis. Depression is rampant. 280 million people globally struggle with depression. That's, again, close to 4% of our global human family. And people are utilizing psilocybin. And yeah, there's a little bit, it's kind of taboo for me to say, hey, go have a 3 to 5 gram experience. I say, if you do that very cautiously and very mindfully, and make sure that you adhere to set and setting. It's really, really important. People are doing it. I come across people here in Miami that have had powerful solo journeys. They're doing that when in earnest, journaling your thoughts, taking time for meditation, taking time to move your body, taking time to get serious